Hey, welcome to Slice of Life, where faith meets the everyday. I'm James, and each podcast I invite someone to dive into the moments that shape us, challenge us, and draw us closer to Christ. From coffee shop conversations to carpool reflections, we're talking about real life and the spiritual truths that help us live it well. So grab your slice of time and let's grow together. Well, hey, welcome to Slice of Life. When are we going to get, I just got sidetracked.
Already?
We got the Slice of Life thing. We
Metal.
still don't have it up.
I know.
Gotta yell at that boy.
I know.
All right. Okay. I'll start it.
Your media department.
I'm over. Okay. All right. Well, hey, welcome to Slice of Life. I got Stephanie with me as well. It's become a routine.
It has.
Just you and I.
Apparently.
Oh, I don't know, because no one else wants to talk with me, I
But
guess.
have you asked other people?
I have, and they're too scared. They're too intimidated. Like I just talked to Gina about it one more time. Like, come on, no, I don't want to do it.
Maybe if we get enough people to comment, we want Gina.
There we go.
We'll
That's
get Gina
right.
on here.
Please, guys, it'd be fun. It'd be fun. But yeah. So. Not that you're bad. I enjoy our conversations.
I think it's nice to have pride.
I think it is, and they're probably all thinking the same thing. They're all probably thinking, well, get rid of the guy for a while and get someone else in there. But it's my podcast. It's my heart. It's my heart. It's, this podcast has been on my heart for 5-6 years, so it's been cool to finally get this started. And the first year we were finding ourselves and it wasn't quite what I wanted. It was too scripted. So I kind of like the more unscripted conversations, although I do have my iPad, but there's a couple of things I was thinking about. But it's not really a script. It's actually my sermon.
Okay.
Some sermon notes I had, and I because we want to talk about Martha.
Yes.
Right. So tell the people, what are we talking about?
We're talking about Martha, as in Mary and Martha, because
Who are they?
They are sisters in the Bible. They are sisters of Lazarus. And Mary is famous for sitting at the feet of Jesus when he's talking, and Martha is famous for being rebuked by Jesus for asking Mary to come and help share her load, essentially.
Yeah.
And I feel for Martha. I really do.
Yeah.
Because she's in the culture.
Martha.
Martha. Because she's in this culture, right, where she is expected to be the hostess with the mostess.
Right.
And
Yep.
Jesus is visiting, and he brings, it's not just Jesus, it's not just the 12 disciples. There's a huge crowd who's with him, and she's trying to take care of all of the people around Jesus, not just Jesus, not just the disciples, but the whole crowd. And here her sister, who's supposed to share in this load, is not sharing in this load.
Yeah.
And so she comes to Jesus and she says, Lord, make her help me.
Yeah.
Do you not see I'm struggling? Make her help me.
Yeah.
Jesus says, well, she's chosen the better. She's sitting here. She's being with me. I won't be here very long. She chose the better.
Yeah.
And I get it. And Jesus isn't wrong. Jesus is right. It's better to sit at the feet of Jesus. Let me put out my statement.
Right.
I'm not saying Jesus is wrong. But man, I feel for Martha. Because she's trying to do what she feels is right in serving. And instead she gets rebuked and embarrassed in front of all these people. And I know her heart was not, it's a heart issue, right? Like it always comes down to the heart issue and the intent, right? That's where we usually end up. But man, I feel bad for her.
Yeah.
And there's a lot for me, and you've said this before, you've called me out on it before.
Me? Never.
Yes. You get very, very mad at me during the church picnic when I'm trying to set things up.
Yeah.
And you do not want me to be setting things up during the picnic. You want me to be outside. But if I'm not setting things up for the picnic, will they be ready in time for people to have a good experience and be able to relax and engage with each other and focus on the community building?
Right.
So I really relate to Martha.
Yes.
And not that you're Jesus rebuking me, but
Yeah.
So can you help us understand the difference between worship and work? Because for me, that is worship. The service of our church body is a form of worship.
Right.
But you don't seem to think that.
I don't. But I do. But I don't. And I think part of it, and it's such an interesting story, but when we look at the Bible, we always have to think culturally. Right. It's a whole different culture, a whole different world. And what Martha was doing was culturally correct.
Yes.
But if you look at the majority of what Jesus does, is
It's
he
not.
tells them, "Hey, your culture is incorrect biblically.
Right.
Your culture is incorrect in how you should be living your life. You are honoring culture above honoring God."
Yeah.
I mean, so much of what Jesus does, if you read the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, you read those Gospels, he condemns the Pharisees, the religious leaders of
Yeah.
the day, the scribes, the Sadducees. These are the big dogs of Christianity, right?
Right.
Or of
Judaism.
Judaism, right? He condemns them because they talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk, right? They are following the cultural norms that they've created, the cultural laws that they've created, and yet they're not doing the one thing that God created them to do,
Yeah.
right? And if you look at the Beatitudes, Matthew, chapter 5, and the Sermon on the Mount 6, 7, right? You look at that. What do you see there? Jesus says, you've been told, hey, thou shalt not murder, but I tell you this. You've told, thou shalt not commit adultery, but I tell you this.
Yeah.
He doesn't condemn the law, but he says you're missing the heart of the law. You're missing the very heart of what it is that you should be doing.
Yeah.
You're following, and in fact, at one point, he even starts talking to the Sadducees, the religious leaders, the Pharisees, and he tells them, "You guys are practicing the law, but you've missed the heart."
Yeah.
He said he doesn't condemn them for doing the sacrifices. He doesn't condemn them for doing the religious part. He says you should be doing those and giving mercy. You should be
Right.
doing those and loving, right? So I think we've got to set the table there, right? Because once we get the table and go, okay, so what was Martha doing? Martha was meeting the cultural norm.
Literally setting the table.
Literally, so yes, exactly. Well, that kind of worked out, right? She's setting the table. She's doing what was
Yeah.
culturally accepted, right? And Jesus' condemnation on her was she was not sensitive to the time
Yeah.
of what was happening at that time in that moment when everybody was gathered around to hear Jesus, sensing that this was an important time in the ministry of Jesus, that these words, I can't just watch them on live stream later on. I can't, I can't see them. These
You don't
words,
have to quote me. I'm
these
just saying.
words are going to be only there.
Right.
Right. I mean, not knowing that they would be written down, and you had the guys writing and the creating his sayings, right? Not knowing all that, you have one chance.
Yeah.
You have one opportunity. And instead of seizing that opportunity, being sensitive to God and knowing, man, the teacher is here,
Yeah.
right? She continues to serve, and then to trump that, take someone out
Right.
of doing
The
the
moment.
doing the heart thing, the
Yeah.
right thing, the thing that would say, okay, I need to learn what Jesus is saying in this moment, to be sensitive to that. And so when you look at the rebuke of Jesus, he's rebuking her not really for the service, but for the heart. And you already said it,
Right.
because she wasn't doing it with the right intention,
Yeah.
right? She was doing it to meet culture, to live up to that standard. Lazarus, we know, actually was a rich individual, right? And so his home was large. There was a sense there then that they're kind of need to save face.
Yeah.
We're rich, we're right.
Yeah.
So you begin to see the Martha character, and I mean, I agree with you. I think Martha get blasted way too harsh,
Yeah.
right? But you begin to see her and go, okay, her heart missed it, right? She missed the very chance that she had. The teacher was in town in that moment. Good friends, by the way, but the teacher was in town. I should be sitting at his feet. And yeah, things might be not falling apart, but may not be ready, but I'm doing the one thing that I need to be doing, right? Which is I need to be hearing from God, right?
Right.
Jesus. I need to be hearing from God, and I need to be in community. And that's what gets me. And you can ask my wife, I've always been this way. As a pastor, I cannot stand when there's potlucks, and then I look up and there's several ladies are gone, right? Because they got to make sure everything is right. And I love the heart, and it is an act of worship. It's an act of service. But what's the better thing to do? What are we called into? We are called into community,
Right.
right? To be together and to growing. And so when part of the body is not with the body in the time that's allotted for being the body, then the body is not whole.
Right.
Not receiving. I don't know if you can see her face. She's looking at me like yeah, right.
Yeah.
What we forget is that my presence, and I'm not talking about Pastor James, right? My presence in the body matters.
Yeah. More than it being perfect.
I need to be in the body, in the moment. And that's the issue. And it's not only serving, but one of the things that we're doing now is this what we call Church on the Ground. Look at our Facebook page or our website, lcae.church Facebook page. You'll kind of see some pictures of it. Part of the heart of that is to get everyone on the same level, because too often we've had the pastor be the guy behind the pulpit,
right?
And the worship team is the show, right? And so everyone's focused on that. And what they forgot is church was meant to be the body coming together, sharing with one another. And even this last Sunday, I had people that said, turn and pray for somebody.
Yeah.
Be involved in the ministry of what's going on in this moment. We got service for an hour and a half, 2 hours. Let's as a body come together, because you might have a message, and this is what our heart should be as church people, is maybe God will give me a message for the person sitting next to me or behind me or in front of me. But if I'm out in the fellowship hall getting ready for the potluck or the picnic, I'm of no use for God within the body.
Okay.
Because all of that other stuff can happen later on. Yes, people have to wait, right? But that's where self-sacrifice comes in. That's where this idea that we're not catering to the fleshly desires. We're supposed to be available for the Holy Spirit to utilize us and to speak in through us. So if I'm out doing the fellowship hall thing, and God is desiring to use me for whatever reason, I'm the right person at the right time to speak into somebody's life, I am not available. Maybe there's a word, maybe there's something in that moment that I need to be in that moment, but I choose, and that's what Jesus is telling you. You're choosing to serve people, great.
Yeah.
But you're missing out on the opportunity of what the Holy Spirit can do at that moment in that time, because that time is not going to happen again.
This is I'm gonna pause. Hard message to give to someone who has perfectionist leaning, who's been a part of an organization that brags perfection is our standard. That's not comfortable.
Okay, that's
Can
good.
I be honest?
Yeah, be honest.
Because then, in the delay between service and potluck, picnic, whatever, things maybe don't come together as well.
Okay.
And maybe we don't have enough, or maybe it's not as smooth.
Yeah.
So you'd rather things to be bumpy than smooth.
Yeah,
in that situation.
And you know me well enough to know I don't like bumpy.
I know you well enough to know you don't like bumpy.
So I'll share this story with you. We were my wife and I was the associate pastor. She's the children's pastor of this church. We were basically doing almost all the ministry in this season. And finally I went to the bishop, who was the leader of that area we were at, and I said, I'm ready. I'm ready to be a senior pastor. I'm ready to be a lead pastor. And he goes, well, what, I said, but my only concern is that church. You pull us out. And I remember he said something to me at that point. He said, well, then they die. If they die, they die. Right?
Oh, no.
Yeah, right. It seemed very harsh. And he goes, they're going to realize that when you leave, they're going to see the hole. And if they see the hole, that church has two options.
Yeah.
Let it die or fill the hole.
Yeah.
Right? Probably the best thing that ever happened in that church is when we left. Because people begin to step in. We couldn't get them to step in while we were there.
Because they didn't have
Because
to.
James and Jen are taking care of everything. I think that it becomes this is a different aspect of what we're talking about, but that becomes a thing is when you've got individuals that can carry the weight, that can carry the load, people don't see the whole.
Right.
They have no, and even if we begged them, and we're like, please help us, please.
Yeah, yeah.
We didn't want to do it all, but we just were the ones, right? And we saw the whole, and we wanted to make sure nothing ever fell apart, right? I think too often in the church world, that's the same thing we do. People hear us say, hey, we really need help with the media team. Hey, we really need help with the fellowship. We really need help, right? And they're like, no, every time we come, it's fine. They don't see the hectic running around behind the scenes, right? They don't see that.
Running, yeah.
Right, but because there's not a whole. And so I think sometimes we have to have those pain moments.
Yeah.
Because it's in the pain moments that people step in.
Yeah.
And it's interesting to me, like, and we got a story from this church about a year ago. We had some cars broken into, and all of a sudden people are, oh, we got a safety issue. I'm like, well, we've been trying to redraft our safety team. We've been trying to, and then all of a sudden people had opinions and everything. Where have you guys been the last 3 years that I've been saying the same thing, trying to get anybody on the safety team? Now you want to, why? Because you saw a hole finally.
Yeah. You saw what we've been knowing
right.
possible.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's the struggle for individuals like us, that because I'm actually the same way.
Yes.
All right. I know I'm the same way. I have that tendency. I will run. I will do everything I can for everyone else. But I had to learn, I've got to let some things go. I've got to make sure that I know what's the important thing in the moment. And if things are not ready right away, that means that they're not ready right away. And it allows us that opportunity then for other people to step in and to see, oh, there are holes. They do need help. That there is something,
Yeah, but I don't need help if I just work
for
an hour before. Then I'm fine.
Then you're fine. But then you've missed out on the very thing that God has made you for.
Yeah. The purpose.
And that's my notes, right? I was just going through the scriptures, and we were talking about this last Sunday, Micah 6:8, right? He told you to do justice, to loving kindness and to love kindness and to walk humbly with God. But then we look at the whole creation. God created us to be in relationship with Him, right? Those are the after effects of the relational piece. And so here God's like, it's not by works that you're justified, but grace. Well, grace is only found when I'm in His presence, right? And so, yeah, I know. See, right? It's the Bible. How dare you bring the Bible up into this? That's the problem with the Martha attitude, right? That's the end of all of that, right? Is that I want to worship God, and the heart, the thought process is right. I'm serving others. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and people the same, right? I'm serving others is my act of worship. But you're supposed to be with the body where two or more are gathered in my name. That's where I'm at.
What if I have someone helping me in the kitchen? That's two or more. Does that count?
No.
We can just be a midget body.
Acts chapter 2, midget body. That one's got to get cut, right? Acts chapter 2, after Acts 2:42, right? They devoted themselves to what? Do you know?
To the apostles' teaching.
Okay.
And to the fellowship.
To
the breaking of bread. Oh, there's one more. Oh, no. I know this. Oh, no.
I can't believe she doesn't remember.
Oh, no.
This is one we talk about quite often.
Memory verse 2 of Vultures. I knew this. Yeah. It's because he put me on the spot.
It should be easy.
They devoted themselves to the apostles' teachings and to the fellowship, to the breaking of bread and the prayers.
The prayers.
There we go.
Right.
Got it. Woo. Saved
it. It didn't, you look at it, the first thing is the apostles' teachings.
Right. Oh.
Right.
Like being in the congregation.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Right.
Oh.
Right. And we go right to the fellowship. Oh, but the fellowship and the breaking of bread. Breaking of bread is communion, by the way. It's a communal meeting that happened.
Not the hot dog.
Not the hot dog. Exactly. Mm-hmm. Right. It's not the nachos that we had. Right. Not all that. It's no. Mm-hmm. It's the apostles' teaching. Right. And when they taught, like what we have now in our church with the room set up, that's how they taught in that. Why? So people could talk about it. Now, Paul actually condemns the church of Corinth for the chaos that was happening.
Right.
But he talks to them and says, "Hey, you guys are causing chaos, not because of their actions, but because everybody was doing it."
Yeah.
And at one point, if you read the scriptures, and he talks, and he goes on in other areas, women should be silent. Oh, that's a whole other. Ooh, I just opened that bag, right? But
a whole other podcast.
right, a whole other podcast we'll get to, especially now. That I think it's a good one to do with the SBC doing what they've done,
yeah.
right? But he's telling them, because what would happen is you'd have men on one side, women on the other, and understand, especially for a Hebrew, women, the Jewish people, women were uneducated.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Where the men had education, memorized some scripture, the Torah, right? At least the first 5 books of the Old Testament, right? So they had more of a foundation. And what would happen is the women, the wives would be yelling at the men. I say yelling. They would be, "Hey, what does he mean?"
Right.
Right. When he said this, because they didn't have the foundation.
Yeah. It's
like at the very beginning, I was like, "Who are Martha and Mary? Explain that to us." Because not everybody watching may have that same foundation that you and I do.
Right.
They might not know who Mary and Martha were, or even Lazarus, right?
Yeah.
And so I think when we look at that, we realize that they're teaching, they meant to come together. And Paul tells them later, well, hey, you should be silent. Talk to your husband afterwards when you have questions. Because they were disrupting.
Right.
Right. But if you were sitting right next, you could have leaned over. I mean, and whisper and say, hey, what did he mean by that? Who's Martha? Right. And I think, again, the apostles' teaching then was about iron sharpening iron. Well, you can't sharpen iron if there's not another iron in there, right? It would hit together. And again, so we have to be in service, right? And so being in the worship service, because it is a limited time, right? It's in that moment. And I'll be honest, it's one of the reasons I don't like live stream. Really? Because live stream gives people an out from being in the body.
Oh, I've never watched live stream in the kitchen.
Yeah.
While doing things. Never.
Exactly.
Nope.
But it gives them an out. Now, obviously, I love live stream for the fact that we have people from all over the world that watch, right? Which is great. Some of the pastors I mentor in Liberia, they're on all the time. Yeah. Right, Romania, we do ministry with them. Other countries, other places. It's incredible to see. People are sick. That's great. There's a reason that you can't come to church.
Yeah.
Right. That's what live stream's meant for.
Yeah.
But it's not meant for those that can come to church, but decide there's something better to do.
Yeah. Is
that not the same thing as somebody going, hey, there's a potluck today. I need to, I can watch it later, or I can do, no, you're meant to be in the body. The body is incomplete without the body. You're meant to be in the body. So if you can be at church, you should be at church, because you are not a spectator. You're a participant.
Right.
I mean, I hammered that one on Sunday. Like, we are to participate with one another. Yeah. I can't participate in another room. Right. I can't participate. And it's one of the things that like Pastor Jen and I am talking about and with family ministries and who she's got working, even the media team, and like, they're never in church. They're never in I said big service, right? And I'm like, we got to find a time at least once a month where they actually can sit in. Why? Because it's not just so that they get fed. That we always say that you get fed, right? Because they need to participate in the body, in the communal aspect of worship. We get so little of that in our day because we're all about the personal salvation, right? I heard a guy the other day say I kind of liked how he said it. He said, salvation is personal, but it's never private. This idea that I have to accept Jesus as my Lord and Savior, but when I accept him as my Lord and Savior, I join others who have accepted him as their Lord and Savior in a communal salvation. That happens, and it happens because I'm sitting next to somebody, or I'm seeing. And one of the benefits of this church on the ground that we've seen is people they kind of look on the other side and they see other worshipers, and they've approached them and they said, "You have something I want. I don't know what that is." And in fact, there's one story, and I won't share the whole thing. It's private, but and he's saying, like, I just watched you, and you're like worshiping God like he's there. How do you do that?
That's the point.
It should be the point.
Right.
But we don't know that, right? And this is a younger Christian,
Yeah.
right? But they've been coming to church for a year. They've been, they were raised in church, right? And they've been coming to this church, but until they looked at other worshipers, other congregations, not just the word, because okay, now I think there's not one person on our worship team that I would say do this, but people look at worship team as being the performers,
Right.
right? So they're acting that way. They're raising their hand because that's the right thing to do.
Right.
The lyrics say to raise my hand, so I'm going to raise my hand.
Right.
Oh, they're kneeling because it's almost like a show, right?
Right.
I don't. Our church doesn't do that. And I'm
No,
not
we
saying
have very genuine.
yeah, and I'm not saying any church does that, but there's a mindset there. I think sometimes where people think that,
Yeah.
but then they see someone who's not on camera. They see someone who they know part of their life is rough, is tough. They see that, and then they go, oh, like this individual goes, man, I want that.
Yeah.
I see, and they approach and said, I saw. How do I do that?
Yeah.
What is that? They didn't even know the word. And finally, the person's like, intimacy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what that is, right? And I think again, when we're talking about this Martha concept, Mary was in community, right? And we don't know the impact that maybe she was having, again, as a high society individual,
Right.
right? That was at that moment saying, what's more important, either preserving our image or sitting at the feet of Jesus?
Yeah.
What's more important in this moment? So we don't even know who was looking at Mary at that point, right? And seeing that Mary, who should have been doing this running around with Martha culturally, was actually at the feet of Jesus. Did she inspire some other women?
I was going to ask
Right?
that because we don't know how many other women were in the room
Yeah.
with Mary specifically or
Right.
helping Martha. So I do wonder about that.
We-
If she was like a
We don't know,
trailblazer.
right?
Yeah.
What we don't know,
Yeah.
right? And Jesus at that moment, and I've got to believe that there are at least women looking in,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And more than likely, there were some women inside as well, right? But for Jesus' sake, she chose the better thing. He gave value to women
Yeah.
as well. We missed that part of the story,
No, you're going to turn it.
right?
You're
I
going to
know.
turn it that way. Now
Yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
really. Oh,
Right? We
man.
missed the value because
Oh,
Jesus
man.
says that he basically says, you know what? You were not just created to serve us.
Right.
You're created to be in community with us, right?
Man.
She's hanging out at his feet. You're getting it now,
No,
right?
I do.
Yep.
And it makes me so mad that I missed it for so long.
So I think that is such a struggle of that story is we kind of looked at the surface level of it.
But Mary was doing some liberating.
Oh man, yeah. And Jesus himself added value again to a culture that was only about men,
Yeah.
right? Women didn't have value. And he gave her value and said, you are, and now we go back to Genesis chapter 1. You may watch some of my services on access. We've just 2026 access on men and women, right?
Yeah.
They were created equal. He created them, male and female, both of us in the image of God, both male and female. The curse came in because of the sin, which drove a wedge between the equality of male and female, right? And Jesus is coming back at this moment saying, no, I originally created you to be able to understand and to fathom.
Yeah.
And as a woman, to be co-equals in this, the Bible says that he told them to go and multiply, have dominion.
Yeah.
Them, not him, them, right? And here we, for the first time in since creation, since Adam and Eve were kicked out of the garden, Jesus comes in as God, right? And says, hey, Mary, you're co-equal. You can accept this word. You can receive this word. You don't have to be running around doing all this other stuff. You'll have to do it in a little bit, right? But right now, this is what you're called to do. This is who you're called to be, right? And man, we're still fighting that 2,000 plus years later. We still have that kind of this mindset. The women the women in the church have to be doing all the stuff running around, right? So the men could sit and listen to the word of God. No, we're co-equals in this. We should be inhabiting together, being strengthened together and learning together.
That makes me, I can't look at it the other way now.
Good.
Because now I can only be like, I'm doing my part to help liberate the women by sitting.
This is not a women's liberation thing, but right.
It's not just worship as work anymore.
Right. Because it can't be.
No,
now,
it can't be.
But again, service is worship. It is an act of worship.
So okay,
right?
then take
But
that direction.
But it's got to be done in the right time.
Okay.
When is the season for service, right? And when is the season for communal worship, right?
Okay.
When are those moments? And in fact, I just had a conversation recently with the leader of this church, and I was harsh on him.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you've got to learn to lead, right? And not be the worker. You have to learn to lead and to grow and to help people, because you understand your position and your time. And, it's easy to do the work, but you're not called to do the work. You're called to lead.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, so when we think about this idea of active worship and serving, right, I look for those times when it is time to serve, right? So when worship is going on, when communal worship is going on, it's not an active time to serve. Now, I may have to, because I'm on the soundboard, I'm doing this, I'm filling a team point, because it has to happen at that moment, right? But those things that I look at and say, okay, this can be delayed, right? This is not the time to do that. I need to go change the toilet paper.
Right.
Those type of things. No, what's more important in this moment? And I think it's finding that, right? What is the season? It's going back to God and saying, God, what is it? Is it the right time to do this or now or not?
Okay.
Can I delay? Can I? What's the greater thing? On Sunday, I want to go to my notes here, because I loved how this is. How should I like this statement, how should I, like Jesus, who is committed to honoring the heart of the Father, respond in this moment? I think it's that question.
Okay.
Right? How do I respond in this moment? Right? What is the right thing to do in this moment? And there's going to be times. In fact, I remember we were in Chicago. Our church was they did a massive addition, and it was a metal building. Okay. Right? We were having church, and there was, I don't know if it's January, February, it's cold Chicago, right? We got in, and a windstorm ripped in during right before service and separated the corner of the building, right? And so I'm at that point, I'm the associate pastor, worship leader, all this other stuff. Yeah. But I was also the only one that could actually go up there and fix it.
Right.
Right. When we had no money.
Yeah.
So guess what I did for the service? I went up there and I was patching and trying to put tarps over it. Freezing I almost got hypothermia. It was horrible. Right. Why? Because it had to be done in that moment. Yeah. Right. Most of the time that doesn't happen. Okay. Right.
You're saying my green beans can wait.
They can wait. And everyone else can wait a little bit. Because what we're teaching people is what is more valuable. Yeah. Is it being in the presence of God, or that my green beans are ready? I have to wait 10 minutes. Then I have to wait 10 minutes. Yeah. And then again, maybe I see at that point, wow, maybe they need help. Maybe I need to step in. Yeah. Maybe it's that moment. And we talked about yesterday, or on Sunday, the participation point. But if people don't know there's a need, they'll never step into that need. Yeah. And trying to find those moments. And I think it's that question. Okay, God, I want to honor your heart. I want to honor you, Father, as Jesus honored you. How do I respond in this moment? What is the best thing for me to do in this moment? Can this wait so that I can go into service and I can be there? That, again, the others, and what I think one of the things that we don't realize, and obviously I'm talking to a leader of the church, but let me just talk to everybody. You have no idea what your impact has on the other people in the church. And that's the struggle we have. We think church is about me, but it's not about me. It's actually about the other people.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, right? I believe that some people just have a connection with other people, right? Like they're just, even if they don't know them, they're just something. It's like that guy that saw those individuals and said, "What is it that you have?" Right?
Right.
In that moment, just think if in that moment that person who was showing the intimacy of the Father with the Father wasn't there, right? Decided to go make green beans. You know, that person would have never done it. So I think that we begin to think about, okay, what's my role? And that's why I don't like live stream. You've got to come into church because maybe the person you're sitting next to, or in our case now across the way, they need to see you for whatever reason. You know, maybe you've always been strong, and that's how they look at you. Man, Stephanie, she's so strong. And then all of a sudden she sees a tear, or someone sees a tear in your eyes, and you're impacted by something, and you become weak in that moment. And it inspires them and go, man, maybe I've been too strong too long, right?
Yeah.
We forget that, again, that communal moment of that. We look back at Martha and Mary. Again, what were they teaching those around them? What was the lesson? If they could teach a lesson, if Martha could get up at this moment and walk in front of our church, what would she want the other ladies of our church to know? Right?
Time is short.
Right?
That's what I'd guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Mary would be the same thing. Like, make sure you desire the right things.
Yeah.
Sit at his feet when you have the opportunity, because you don't know when that opportunity is going to go.
Yeah. I know, at Teen Talent this year, one of the girls did like a skit, and she was Mary and Martha in the skit, going back and forth. And I was just sitting there, and Jason looked over at me and goes, "You feeling some conviction?
Yeah.
Are we feeling a little?" I was like, "Shut up. Yes.
Come on, husband,
beautiful.
be quiet.
I'm going to cry. This is amazing. And yes, I feel the conviction. Okay, you can stop now." But I don't know. Like I want things to be nice for other people so much that it becomes like, well, part of being a Christian is self-sacrifice. So let me self-sacrifice my time in the congregation so that everyone else has like this good experience. And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to sacrifice, but that's not what you're saying is the right sacrifice.
Well, it's not the right sacrifice.
Right.
And I think that's the hard thing for us to think about is, again, we've been told that church is about us.
Yeah.
And if I can get my mind around the fact that church is not about me, it's about those around me.
Right.
That my presence for others matters in that seat.
Yeah.
You know, now as a pastor, I know I have a different view on the world because your presence does matter, because I look for you, right?
Yeah.
There are specifically certain individuals that I'm like, man, when they're there, that's great. I know I'm looking, but I'm looking for the whole church. I know almost everybody in the church, and those that come on a regular basis, when they're not there, it actually impacts me. Right? I'm preaching and I'm thinking, where's so-and-so? I hope they're okay, right? So obviously I have a different viewpoint on that. And I think that's what's helped my mindset in this arena is going that, you know what? I know it doesn't just impact me, it impacts those around me.
Right.
Right. And if we don't have that relationship with those around me in the church, there's a problem. Jen and I went to a church in Yakima, Washington, and it was a big church. Long story, but I won't share the whole thing. But basically, we visited and we had just moved up from Portland, Gresham area, and our pastor happened to be there and introduced us to the senior pastor and said, "Take care of these two. They're going to be awesome for you." Right. Basically, the last time I talked to that pastor, right, the senior pastor. But I worked basically every other weekend, and then one weekend a month I was in the reserve, so I was gone.
Right.
So I went to church once a month, right? But my wife, who was very pregnant at the time, right, was always there working in the nursery, right?
Yeah.
She's just a couple months until she was due. Every Sunday she walked in and she'd get greeted almost by the same guy every time. "Oh, are you new here?" Right?
No.
And nobody learned her name. In fact, it was really hot. It was a hot July. She was due in August, and they had like a you want to talk about service? They had a carnival type thing
Yeah.
going on. She's a month away from her due date. Out there, she's working these tables, right? Nobody's relieving her. No one's doing anything. And all of this is happening. And so we've been there for 6 months, right, at this point, and they don't know her name.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's Jordan's mom. Jordan is our oldest daughter. That's
Right.
Jordan's mom. Right. That was all they knew, at least the teachers.
Yeah.
Right. They had no idea who I was. Now I get it. I'm once a month,
Right.
although I saw the same people every time.
Yeah.
Right. Because I sat in the same spot, just like everybody else
Well, I
would
was
sit in
gonna
the
say
same spot.
yeah.
Right. That impacted me personally because I began to see the importance of the relational piece of church.
Yeah.
Right. When people didn't know me, I didn't, my worship wasn't as good.
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they didn't care about me.
Yeah.
And so I looked at it as like this individualistic concept. I never fit into any of their cliques. My wife never fit into any of those cliques, right? And then we transitioned and we went to another church, and that was a total different world. Man, I talked to the senior pastor, the associate pastor the same day, very large church, 1,300 people, I think. And then the next Sunday, guess what? They still knew my name.
Honestly, that impresses me beyond anything.
The senior pastor knew my name,
Yeah.
right? And then, the people got to know me and but it was a communal atmosphere. That's what number one, I want our church to be like, but that's what every church should be like, right? Because you matter and my presence matters because when you come back in, you got a friend in me. I was about to sing, but I won't sing, right? That you've got somebody that you could see that you can rely on. There's this community that happens, and again, so whether it's a potluck or whatever, and people are pulled out, or I decided to live stream that day, or for whatever reason, where you say, okay, something else is more important than being in the community, in the body in that moment, right, of the worship service that only happens one Sunday a month or one Sunday a week, or once a week, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Whatever I'm trying to say. Once a week, right?
1 out of 7 days.
Right. Yeah. It only happens that time. And yet, so if I say there's anything more important than that, it better be life altering, more important. Right. Not because I don't feel it, not because I think something else is more important in the season. No. Right. What's more important? It's me there because I can't be utilized by God in the body of Christ if I'm not present. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Well, I'm doing all, no. What is the one thing that you should be doing?
Being present.
There we go.
Okay. So I get it. Don't make green beans during church on Sunday. But how should we serve then? And like, what does it look like to have a healthy service is my worship mindset? Yeah. What would you say? I'm asking you.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. Next question. No, I think that healthy mindset is, again, understand what priorities are. Okay. Right. And we kind of talked about it. Like, God, how do I honor you? What is that in this situation, in this moment, in big and small? Right. How do I honor you? And so I think service is that idea of, again, self-sacrificing. Right. But worship in the service itself, Sunday mornings, should be self-sacrificing as well, right? But being able to look and go, okay, what is it? I know what needs to happen, right? We need to have this potluck. We need to have the things ready. So obviously planning is a big part of that too, right? But then again, looking at the whole piece and going, okay, so what will impact the body in a greater way? Okay. Right? How do I, and we're talking to a leader right now, how do I lead the people in the correct way? Right. So I could do it all myself, and I know it'll be done well, and people will love it. Right. And it'll be good. Right. Yeah. Yeah. It'll be easier on me. Right. It'll get done right, and everybody's going to be happy. Okay. There's a lot of I in there, basically, though. That's the problem. Right. Self-sacrificing. That's the hardest thing about being a leader. Let me talk to leaders for a second. Delegation stinks. Yeah. I hate it. Absolutely hate it. I can do it. I can do it faster. more than likely I probably can do a little bit better, right, than volunteers.
When you also know what you
because I know
you have it in your
exactly
head,
what I want to get done.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to take extra effort to tell them what I want, to watch them do it, maybe fix it when it's not done
Right.
correctly, to correct them and go through, right? And so every single week, it's been so funny. I'm going to tell this story because I think it's hilarious. So offering, if you go to a church, most churches do offering the same way, right?
Okay.
You have the ushers and they have buckets or baskets or something,
Yeah.
right? And then they either hand the buckets out in rows and go back and forth, or a lot of churches nowadays are doing the march where they, everyone's standing at the bucket at the front and they walk through, right? But it's just a normal process.
Right.
Everybody knows that process that comes to church, right? Well, this church has not been that way for about a year, right? We've changed to where our
Right.
offering was actually our buckets or whatever were put on the stage, on the front of the stage. And we told people during worship, as an act of worship, bring your offerings, your tithes in.
Yes.
Right? We didn't really make a big deal about it. And by the way, we didn't miss any offerings, right? Like,
Right.
people got it. Well, because of the setup that we have right now, we realized, we got to go back to the old way. And the old way is ushers, start in the front, hand the baskets out. The week after week, the last several weeks, I've had to tell them how to do it, and they've done it wrong.
Right.
Right? And I'm like, oh my word. Right? Like, that's the problem with delegation.
Yeah.
It's at the moment where I'm like, I'm up there, I'm playing the guitar. Even on the Sunday, I'm looking, going, please get it right. Please get it right. I spent an hour talking to you this morning. One more time, right? Please get it right. I could have just done it myself. I'm like here, I'll just walk around and do it myself.
While playing guitar and singing.
Yeah.
And getting ready to.
Oh, I could do it. I could do that. It'd be easy peasy. Right?
I want to see it now.
Yeah, it's a challenge. But why do I delegate, or why do I do, get others involved? Because I'm trying to get others involved.
Yeah.
I'm trying to teach them how to do ministry. I'm trying to teach them in that moment and be in that communal moment. When I'm in a team, I grow more. The team grows more, right? It's that idea. They see the things that are going on, and my purpose, Pastor James, my purpose is to help you grow in the area that you need to grow.
Right.
Okay. I can't do that for you, but I can make opportunities for you, and I could step out of the way to give you opportunities to grow.
Yeah.
Right.
And either succeed or fail.
Right. To force you in some cases, to do things that are maybe out of your comfort zone, but that and maybe you don't have quite the talent or the ability to do it, but I can train that, I can teach that. And maybe it's not going to be what I would like it to be, right? The quality I would like it to be, but it gets done.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe out of that moment I can grow and I can teach and I can lead, right? And what does that mean for me? It means more effort. Yeah. Right?
And it also might mean it's bumpier and it's not going to be smooth.
Oh yeah, completely. But
that's okay. It's okay for it to not be perfect.
Are
you sure?
I am giving you permission for it not to be perfect if I see others involved.
Oh, okay.
The joy of that. It's like, so we've done this homeless ministry for a couple years now. We're just pivoting now. And it's so funny. We make roughly 230 meals, right? Right. And it's 100 kids meals, 130 adult meals. They get the same thing. The kids get all the same thing, and the adults get all the same thing. And only one time out of the 2 years have we ever had it to where we made 100 perfectly. Like, and I've had so many conversations with people about like how we can make it perfect.
Right.
Right. The only way to make it perfect is to limit the number of people who put their hands on it.
Right.
But what's the heart of what we're doing?
Put your hands on it.
Get people to put their hands on it. Get people to participate. Get people to do ministry. Give them an opportunity to do something. And so it's like, we just got to deal with it. Yeah. We got some goldfish that are left over. It means somebody forgot goldfish. Well, let's bring, right. It's, man, Jen and I could fix it in a heartbeat. Right.
But then you don't have the
it would-
micro body.
it would
becoming
be
closer.
just Jen and I doing it, right? Okay, you guys make the sandwiches. You do this, but we'll pack it.
Yeah.
Right. We'll make sure it's perfect. No, I need that little kid doing it. I need that other person. All the 20 some odd people that come and do all this. I need them all packing it because they're part of it, to hear the conversation. One of my favorite things to do is, because I don't do a lot of the work when I'm there. I'm just hanging out with people, right? And I'm just kind of overseeing the things,
Right.
and sometimes I'll just sit back and listen to the laughter, right? That's happening. They're building community in that moment, right? Can we do it faster and better? Yes. Can we get it where there's no mistakes? I guarantee you we could, right? I'm a lean Six Sigma guy, right? I got a green belt. I know how to do all this stuff, but what's more important? More important, the community.
Yeah.
Right. Which means that as leaders, we get other people involved, even though we know it's going to be harder on us.
Yeah.
But
honestly,
you said it earlier, self-sacrifice. That's another self-sacrifice, right?
The self-sacrifice is giving up the perfectionist tendency.
Yep. And saying, what am I called to do?
Yeah.
Am I called to build people or do things perfect? Well,
so uncomfortable. I don't like that.
I know. You brought it up, though.
I know I did.
This was your idea to talk about it. I know you were coming in thinking, man, I'm going to convince that pastor.
Just let me make my green beans while you're preaching, man.
Yeah.
And it would be perfect and it would be fine. But no. And I will say, there was a funeral that we did, and having the women in the kitchen all together, and yes, it was all the women in the kitchen. That's just what happened. We're waiting for the family to transition. We're finishing up, and there is laughter, and people are talking about the person who passed away, and they're talking about, a funny story about him, or they're talking about this time when this happened. And I did kind of stand back and was like, this is really beautiful.
Yeah.
And I absolutely, maybe I could have done it myself. There was a lot to do, but it was absolutely beautiful because there was healing in that moment too, as people are sharing these stories and like having the catharsis of laughing about them, or doing different things like that. And it did kind of kick me in the butt about sharing more.
Right.
And it's not out of like a selfish desire necessarily. It's just, but I don't want to have to explain. And I've spent so much time already putting a plan together. I don't want to have to explain it and all these things.
And I think that's the thing, is it comes out of a great heart.
Yeah.
I don't look at any, like what you're talking about and what others that I've had to reprimand and talk about this concept with, right? Because you're not the first one.
It makes me feel
better. Right. Well, you can ask my wife. I'd say it all the time. It comes out of a great heart, and that's the problem. We think we're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And I talked about it yesterday, that kierkegaard prayer, which is like, hey, God, I'm about to make a decision. I think it's the right thing, but I might be wrong here. Would you forgive me if it's wrong?
Yeah.
Would you fix it if it's wrong? And I think so often we're coming from the right heart, meaning I want to serve other people, but we're missing the end goal.
Which is
what
growing up.
is the end goal? That everyone sits down and has a great, perfect meal, or that I built community? Well, in the body, it's about building community.
Yeah.
Right? Getting other people involved in the process, even if you've got to redo it or if it's not quite right.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, I guess I'm going to have cold green beans, but that's okay because I heard the laughter.
Yeah. I know, but food is so important to me. And that's my heart, man. Let's have good food.
Yep. Oh, I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I want good food. But more than any of that,
the community
we need the community, and it's something that the Christian church in America has totally forgot about. They don't understand community anymore. We're so individualistic, and I think it's so important for us to flip that switch back. Man, just go to Romania with me. Yeah. You're going to see in a heartbeat. You're going to see a community of people that all come together. And in fact, I'll end with this story. It was last year, 2 years ago, we went to a church, and they were doing a baby dedication. And the local pastor, they've got pastors over pastors there.
Okay.
Right. And so it wasn't the church that he normally would be at, but he was at that church. Other people were at that church, and then 10 Americans show up, right? They knew we were coming, and they get us into the church, and we get to do some worship with them, which is super cool. In fact, at one point we start singing. I can't remember what the song was. They wanted us to do a song, so I grabbed my guitar and playing, start singing. I got a couple of girls with me, and we're just singing, and then all of a sudden they start singing in Romanian.
The same song.
The same song. I'm getting all choked up. It's incredible. We actually have a video of it. It was an incredible moment, the unity of the body. But I share that story because at the end of this baby dedication, all this stuff, everything going on, just a crazy day. It was just like they said amen, and then everybody jumped into action. And within 10 minutes, this church was small, by the way, like small building size, but there's 100 plus people in it, right?
Tight.
Way too many people in that building, They jump into action, and within 10 minutes, they've got this whole picnic set up and all this other stuff and tables and chairs. Everybody joined, and it was fun to watch because they all knew what they were doing. They all had their, the men are moving the tables and the chairs, kind of like what we do at picnic a little bit, right? But even in a better way, very organized. And what was crazy is as I'm talking to them, they weren't all members of that church. They had come from the different churches as well, right? But they all had the same heart. They all.
It's not like they've done this a million times.
Exactly,
all together.
exactly.
Yeah.
They just knew, hey, we're gonna have this picnic, right? And we need to set this thing up and do our things, and and then all of a sudden, boom! They're just 10 minutes later, we're eating. I'm like, what in the world? How did this happen? That person over there, they had a cotton candy machine. They were doing that, and I mean, just crazy stuff, right? But that's why I'm talking about the community. They came together as a community, not just one church, but multiple churches coming together and going, okay, what's the most important thing? We're going to worship. And then I know we're going to have to transition into food, but every single person was in the sanctuary during that whole time.
Yeah.
And then they transitioned
all
so
together.
quickly,
Yeah.
but together. And that's the heart. And that's what I believe that's what one of the things Jesus was trying to get Martha to understand. Be in community when community is available.
And it's not
then
available.
Then transition, right? When it's time, do what you have to do, right? In those moments. He says, Mary's got it. Mary figured it out. She's sitting at my feet. Whether she knew exactly what was about to happen, right? His crucifixion's coming up, or what, he's like, she wanted to be in community. And that's a challenge, I think, for all of us. He's like, get into community. And let me just say that if you watch live stream and you're not part of a Bible church, you're not going in and spending time, get involved in community. Get involved in a team. You will never be fully involved in a church, never be in community until you're serving on a team. Usher, greeter, safety team, worship team, media, fellowship stuff, right? Whatever that looks like to be involved in some sort of team. But understand what's the most important thing. Be at the feet of Jesus and be with other believers. Right? Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, right? And to love your neighbor as yourself. And that's where I think that's where self-sacrifice comes in. What is the better thing? God, what do I do to please your heart? Hopefully you've enjoyed this conversation and maybe not enjoyed it, but I hope it's been helpful. How about that?
Yeah.
If you have any questions, comments, please let us know. Share our stuff would be great. Also, if you have any topics you'd like us to talk about, I'm willing to talk about just about anything. So, but until next time, we'll see you.